Ever wondered how people managed to eat during the Great Depression? With barely anything to work with, families crafted dishes most of us couldn't imagine. But there's one surprising recipe that stood out. Stay tuned to discover how it defined survival in those tough times. Depression-era stew. Ever wondered what people ate to survive the toughest times? Depression-era stew, also known as mulligan or hobo stew, was a staple. It was a simple, hearty dish made from whatever was on hand: potatoes, carrots, onions, and sometimes barley. Meat, if available, was a luxury, but even without it, the stew provided warmth and sustenance. The beauty of this dish was in its flexibility. Ingredients were thrown together in a pot and cooked slowly, creating a meal that was both filling and comforting. This stew became a symbol of resilience during the Great Depression, a reminder that even in the hardest of times, people found ways to nourish their families. The next time you need to clear out your fridge, channel your inner 1930s chef and make a Depression-era stew. Remember, sometimes the simplest meals are the most satisfying. Cold milk soup. Can you imagine having soup made from cold milk? During the Great Depression, cold milk soup was a staple in many households. This simple dish with Amish origins was made by mixing milk with sliced bananas, a bit of sugar, and sometimes bread or other fruits. It provided a quick and easy way to get some calories and nutrients, especially when fresh ingredients were scarce. The natural sweetness of the bananas combined with the richness of the milk made this a surprisingly comforting meal, particularly on hot summer days. It was a no-cook option that required minimal ingredients, making it perfect for families struggling to put food on the table. Cold milk soup might not be a go-to meal today, but it's a reminder of the resourcefulness people showed during tough times. Next time you're looking for a light, nostalgic treat, consider giving this Depression-era dish a try. Garbage plate. Why judge a meal by its name? The garbage plate, a Depression-era favorite, was a mishmash of whatever ingredients were available: macaroni salad, home fries, baked beans, and some kind of protein like sausage or ground beef. This dish originated in Rochester, New York, and quickly became a beloved comfort food. Toppings like chili, onions, mustard, and hot sauce added extra flavor to the carb-loaded plate. Despite its unappealing name, the garbage plate was a hearty, filling meal that could feed a family on a tight budget. It was all about using what was on hand to create something satisfying and delicious. The garbage plate is still served in restaurants today, proving that sometimes the most unconventional meals become timeless classics. The next time you're in the mood for comfort food, try creating your own version of a garbage plate, and remember that great meals often come from humble beginnings. Prune pudding. Prune pudding might not be the first dessert that comes to mind, but during the Great Depression, it was a beloved treat that many families relied on. Prunes, with their long shelf life and affordability, were a pantry staple. To make prune pudding, the prunes were boiled until soft, then mashed and mixed with sugar, water, and a thickening agent like flour or cornstarch. This dessert was even served at the White House by Eleanor Roosevelt, who championed frugality during those challenging times. While prune pudding might not win any beauty contests, its high fiber content made it both a nutritious and economical choice. It was a practical dessert that helped families stretch their food budgets while still enjoying something sweet. Now, speaking of resourcefulness, what if I told you there was a government-invented food that could stretch your meals even further? Stick around to learn about the Depression-era kitchen miracle called Mil-Corno. Mil-Corno. What if your entire week's meals revolved around one ingredient? During the Great Depression, Mil-Corno was a kitchen miracle, a government-invented mixture of cornmeal and dried milk powder designed to be cheap and nutritious. This versatile ingredient could be used as a base for porridge, baked into cornbread, or added to soups. Developed by a research team led by Flora Rose in the early 1930s, Mil-Corno was distributed to families through the federal emergency relief programs, helping them survive on just a few dollars a week. It may not have been the most exciting ingredient, but with the right seasonings and creativity, Mil-Corno dishes could be surprisingly tasty. This product is a reminder of how necessity drives innovation, particularly in times of crisis. Though Mil-Corno has long been replaced by modern foods, its legacy lives on as an example of how resourcefulness can provide nourishment even in the hardest of times. Bean and tomato stew. What makes a meal comforting when resources are limited? bean and tomato stew was a Depression-era staple, providing a warm, hearty meal that was both nutritious and affordable. Beans, a great source of protein and fiber, were combined with a tomato-based broth, creating a simple yet flavorful dish. Potatoes, carrots, and even rice could be added to bulk up the stew, making it more filling. This meal was versatile and could be served over bread, rice, or mashed potatoes, depending on what was available. Originating from Native American traditions, this stew was adapted by many during the Great Depression, becoming a go-to dish for families trying to make the most of what they had. The next time you're looking for a comforting, budget-friendly meal, try making your own version of bean and tomato stew, and remember the resourcefulness of those who came before us. Peanut butter and mayo sandwich. Could you imagine combining peanut butter and mayonnaise in a sandwich? In the 1930s, this unlikely pairing was a popular and affordable meal. Both peanut butter and mayo were cheap and readily available, making them a go-to combination for many families. The creamy, salty peanut butter mixed with the tangy mayonnaise created a unique flavor that might sound strange, but was surprisingly satisfying. This sandwich was not only economical, but also filling, providing much-needed calories during a time when food was scarce. Today, peanut butter and jelly is the standard, but back then, peanut butter and mayo was the lunchtime favorite for many. While it may not appeal to everyone's taste buds, this sandwich is a testament to the creativity people used to stretch their food budgets during the Great Depression. Remember, sometimes the most unexpected combinations can surprise you. Why not give it a try? Tomato sauce with mashed potatoes. Would you ever think to pair tomato sauce with mashed potatoes? During the Great Depression, this simple combination was a popular way to stretch limited ingredients into a filling meal. Potatoes were cheap and readily available, while tomato sauce added a burst of flavor without much cost. This dish was easy to prepare, just creamy mashed potatoes topped with a savory tomato sauce. While it may not sound gourmet, this meal was comforting and satisfying for families who were struggling to make ends meet. Potatoes were incredibly versatile, used in various forms depending on what was on hand. And this dish exemplified how even the simplest ingredients could be turned into something delicious. In today's world of endless food options, it's easy to forget how much can be done with so little. The next time you're in the mood for something simple and comforting, give tomato sauce with mashed potatoes a try. Spaghetti, boiled carrots, and white sauce casserole. How do you turn simple ingredients into a satisfying meal? During the Great Depression, homemakers like Eleanor Roosevelt promoted budget-friendly recipes like the spaghetti, boiled carrots, and white sauce casserole. This dish was made with overcooked spaghetti, boiled carrots, and a basic white sauce of milk, flour, salt, and butter. The idea was to create a filling and nutritious meal using ingredients that were cheap and readily available. While the combination might seem odd today, it was a practical way to stretch a small budget and feed a family. The casserole could be easily modified depending on what was on hand, making it a versatile option for families during tough times. This dish is a reminder of how resourcefulness in the kitchen can create meals that are both nourishing and comforting. The next time you need to whip up a quick budget-friendly meal, consider this Depression-era casserole. Ritz mock apple pie. Did you know you can make apple pie without apples? The Ritz mock apple pie was a genius Depression-era dessert that cleverly used Ritz crackers in place of apples. The filling was a simple mixture of sugar, cinnamon, and water, which, when combined with the crackers, magically mimicked the taste and texture of a classic apple pie. This dessert was a budget-friendly alternative, especially during times when fresh fruit was scarce or too expensive. Despite the unusual substitution, this pie became a favorite among families who were looking for a sweet treat during tough times. The Ritz mock apple pie is a shining example of the creativity and resourcefulness that defined the Great Depression, proving that even the simplest ingredients can be transformed into something truly special. But what if I told you there's another Depression-era dish that pairs the unexpected with the familiar? Stick around to discover the surprising combination of peanut butter stuffed baked onion. Peanut butter stuffed baked onion. Would you try an onion stuffed with peanut butter? During the Great Depression, this unconventional dish was a creative way to combine protein and vegetables. To make it, an onion was hollowed out, filled with peanut butter, and baked until the onion became caramelized and sweet. The contrast between the salty, creamy peanut butter and the sweet, tender onion resulted in a surprisingly harmonious flavor. This dish was both affordable and nutritious, showcasing the resourcefulness of those who lived through tough times. While it may not be everyone's first choice today, peanut butter stuffed baked onion is a testament to the inventive spirit of the era. The next time you're feeling adventurous, try this dish and appreciate the resilience of past generations. Kraft macaroni and cheese dinner. Did you know that one of today's favorite comfort foods originated during the Great Depression? In 1937, Kraft introduced its boxed macaroni and cheese dinner, offering an affordable, easy-to-make meal that quickly became a staple in American households. For just 19 cents, a box served 4, making it an economical choice for families struggling during tough times. Some even stretched the meal further by adding cooked vegetables or a can of tuna. The simplicity and affordability of Kraft macaroni and cheese helped sustain families through one of the hardest periods in history. Today, it remains a beloved comfort food, a nostalgic reminder of its humble beginnings. The next time you enjoy a bowl, remember the role it played in helping families during the Great Depression. Vinegar cobbler. What would you do if you had only sugar, flour, and vinegar? During the Great Depression, when fresh fruits were scarce, vinegar cobbler became a clever solution. Known as a desperation pie, this dessert used vinegar, sugar, and spices to mimic the tartness of fruit. The crust was made from basic pantry staples like flour, sugar, and butter or lard. Once baked, the filling surprisingly resembled that of a traditional fruit cobbler, providing a sweet treat without the need for costly ingredients. This dish showcases the ingenuity of those who made do with what little they had. While vinegar cobbler might seem unusual today, it was a beloved dessert during tough times. The next time you're craving something sweet, consider making a desperation pie and appreciate the creativity born out of necessity during the Great Depression. Liver loaf. Would you be willing to eat liver if it meant a nutritious meal? During the Great Depression, liver loaf was a popular way to make the most of inexpensive liver, a cut of meat that was both affordable and packed with essential nutrients. By combining liver with breadcrumbs, onions, and spices, families created a flavorful, protein-rich loaf that provided much-needed iron and vitamins. While liver might not be everyone's favorite, it played a crucial role in sustaining families when other meats were too costly. Liver loaf was a staple in many households, reflecting the sacrifices and resourcefulness of the era. But liver wasn't the only creative solution. What if I told you that beans and peanuts could come together to make a surprisingly tasty loaf? Stick around to learn about Lima bean and peanut loaf, another inventive dish from the Great Depression. Lima bean and peanut loaf. Could you imagine a loaf made from beans and peanuts? During the Great Depression, Lima bean and peanut loaf was a clever way to get protein without spending much. By combining cooked lima beans, peanut butter, and breadcrumbs, families created a savory, filling loaf with a nutty flavor that paired surprisingly well with the beans. This dish was an excellent meatless option for stretching the food budget and ensuring nothing went to waste. Often served with gravy to enhance its taste, the loaf had a texture similar to falafel. Lima bean and peanut loaf exemplifies the ingenuity of those who made do with limited ingredients. The next time you're seeking a meatless meal, consider trying this Depression-era dish and appreciate the resourcefulness it represents. Gelatin-based dishes. Can you imagine using gelatin in savory dishes? During the Great Depression, gelatin was a popular ingredient because it was cheap and could stretch more expensive items like meat. A notable example was corned beef luncheon salad, made from canned corned beef, gelatin, canned peas, vinegar, and lemon juice. While it might sound unappetizing by today's standards, gelatin-based dishes were a practical way to maximize limited resources. These dishes allowed families to bulk up meals, ensuring there was enough to go around. Gelatin was also used in desserts, proving its versatility in both sweet and savory recipes. Although savory gelatin dishes may seem odd now, they were a creative solution when food had to be stretched as far as possible. The next time you see a gelatin mold, remember its important role in helping families during the Great Depression. Dandelion greens. Did you know that what many consider a weed was once a dinner staple? During the Great Depression, dandelion greens were a common sight on tables, particularly among Italian immigrant families in New York City. Rich in vitamins and minerals, these bitter, leafy greens provided a nutritious boost when other vegetables were scarce or too expensive. Foraged from yards and fields, dandelion greens were often sautéed with bacon or lard, garlic, and onions to offset their bitterness. They were also used in salads, soups, and stews, offering a versatile and healthy addition to meals. While dandelion greens might not be as popular today, they remind us of the resourcefulness that helped families survive tough times. The next time you spot dandelions in your yard, consider adding them to your meal and appreciate the nutritional value they once provided. Cornstarch pudding. What do you do when sugar and milk are scarce? During the Great Depression, cornstarch pudding became a go-to dessert made from just a few basic ingredients: cornstarch, sugar, and milk. This simple pudding was thickened on the stove and could be flavored with whatever was on hand: vanilla, chocolate, or fruit extracts. It provided a quick and easy way to enjoy a little sweetness during tough times. Cornstarch pudding was beloved for its versatility and affordability, making it possible for families to savor a treat even when other ingredients were hard to find. This dish highlights how resourcefulness in the kitchen can turn simple ingredients into something comforting. The next time you crave a simple dessert, try making cornstarch pudding and appreciate how even the simplest recipes can bring joy. Poor man's stew. What do you make when you have next to nothing? Poor man's stew, or Hoover stew, was a staple during the Great Depression. Named after President Herbert Hoover, often blamed for the economic hardships, this stew was made from whatever was on hand, typically hot dogs, macaroni, canned tomatoes, and any available vegetables. It was an easy, one-pot meal that could feed a family on a tight budget. While not glamorous, poor man's stew was hearty, filling, and flavorful enough to satisfy. This practical meal helped families stretch their food supplies during tough times. The next time you need a quick, budget-friendly meal, consider making poor man's stew and remember that even the simplest dishes can provide comfort and nourishment. Creamed chipped beef on toast. Have you ever tried creamed chipped beef on toast? Known as SOS, this dish was a comfort food staple during the Great Depression. Made with thinly sliced, dried, salted beef mixed into a creamy white sauce, it was served over toast for a rich, filling meal. The dried beef's long shelf life made it a practical choice when fresh meat was too expensive or unavailable. The white sauce, made from flour, milk, and butter, created a comforting dish that could easily feed a family. Today, it's often remembered with nostalgia as a classic American meal. The next time you crave comfort food, try this Depression-era favorite and appreciate the creativity it took to make simple ingredients taste great. But if you're curious about another classic, simple dish, stick around to learn about the humble yet versatile cornmeal mush. Cornmeal mush. Cornmeal mush was a staple during the Great Depression, offering a versatile and filling meal. Made by slowly cooking cornmeal in water or milk until it thickened, this dish could be served hot as a porridge or cooled, sliced, and fried. Cornmeal mush was often sweetened with syrup or honey for breakfast or served savory with gravy for dinner. Its simplicity and affordability made it a go-to for families looking to stretch their food budgets. Cornmeal mush remains a reminder of how basic ingredients can be transformed into comforting, satisfying meals during tough times. Hoover hog, jackrabbit. In rural areas during the Great Depression, hunting jackrabbits known as Hoover hogs became a necessary means of survival. Named after President Hoover, who was blamed for the economic crisis, these rabbits provided a crucial source of protein for struggling families. Jackrabbit meat was often used in stews or simply roasted, offering a much-needed meal when other meats were too expensive or unavailable. Though it might seem unusual today, Hoover hogs were a lifeline for many, exemplifying the resourcefulness required to survive in challenging times. Potato pancakes. Potato pancakes, or latkes, were a budget-friendly and filling dish during the Great Depression. Made from grated potatoes mixed with flour, egg, and sometimes onions, these pancakes were fried until crispy. They could be served with applesauce or sour cream if available, or simply eaten plain. Potato pancakes were a popular choice because potatoes were inexpensive, readily available, and could stretch to feed a family. This dish remains a classic comfort food, demonstrating how simple ingredients can create a satisfying meal even during difficult economic times. Water pie. Water pie, a Depression-era dessert, was a clever solution for those with limited ingredients. Made with water, sugar, flour, butter, and a hint of vanilla or lemon extract, this pie filled a basic crust and baked into a custard-like filling. It provided a sweet treat without costly ingredients like eggs or milk. Water pie showcases the ingenuity of Depression-era cooks who managed to create delicious desserts from almost nothing. It's a reminder that creativity in the kitchen can yield surprising results, even in tough times. Curious about another inventive dish? Stick around to learn about cabbage and dumplings, a hearty and budget-friendly meal. Cabbage and dumplings. Cabbage and dumplings was a hearty, budget-friendly dish that made the most of simple ingredients. Sautéed cabbage was combined with flour-based dumplings, creating a filling meal that could easily feed a family. Cabbage was inexpensive and widely available, making it a staple in many households during the Great Depression. The dumplings added bulk to the dish, ensuring everyone had enough to eat. This comforting meal is a testament to how resourcefulness in the kitchen helped families stretch their food supplies during difficult times, turning basic ingredients into a satisfying dish. Egg drop soup. Egg drop soup was a quick and nourishing dish that became a staple during the Great Depression. Made by whisking eggs into hot broth, the eggs formed delicate ribbons, adding protein and richness to the soup. It could be made with just water and bouillon if necessary, or with leftover vegetables or bits of meat for added sustenance. Egg drop soup was easy to prepare and could stretch limited ingredients into a filling meal. This dish highlights the creativity of Depression-era cooks in turning simple, inexpensive ingredients into comforting, nutritious meals. Depression cake. Depression cake, also known as wacky cake or crazy cake, was a dessert made without eggs, butter, or milk. Instead, ingredients like vinegar, baking soda, and oil were used to create a moist, chocolatey cake that satisfied sweet cravings despite the scarcity of traditional baking ingredients. This cake was a popular choice during the Great Depression because it was affordable and could be made with pantry staples. Depression cake remains a beloved recipe today, symbolizing the ingenuity of home cooks who managed to create delicious treats even in the most challenging times. Dried pea soup. Dried pea soup was a simple, nourishing dish that became a go-to meal during the Great Depression. Made by simmering dried peas with water and a few vegetables like onions and carrots, this soup provided essential nutrients and warmth. Dried peas were inexpensive, had a long shelf life, and were easy to cook, making them a popular choice for families looking to stretch their food budgets. Dried pea soup is a reminder of how basic ingredients can be transformed into a hearty, satisfying meal, providing comfort during times of scarcity. Oatmeal bread. Oatmeal bread was a practical and filling option during the Great Depression. By adding cooked oatmeal to bread dough, families could stretch their flour supplies and create a dense, nutritious loaf that lasted throughout the week. This hearty bread was often enjoyed with a bit of butter or jam, but it was satisfying enough to eat on its own. Oatmeal bread showcases the resourcefulness of Depression-era cooks who made every ingredient count, turning simple staples into satisfying meals. Want to learn about another simple yet comforting dish? Stick around to discover the humble and delicious creamed corn on toast. Creamed corn on toast. Creamed corn on toast was a quick, budget-friendly meal that provided comfort and sustenance during the Great Depression. Made by mixing canned or fresh corn with a little flour, milk, and butter to create a creamy sauce, this dish was then served over slices of toast. It was an easy way to make a filling meal with pantry staples, and the creamy, sweet corn provided a satisfying contrast to the crispy toast. Creamed corn on toast is a testament to how simple ingredients can be combined to create a comforting, nutritious dish. Tomato gravy. Tomato gravy was a versatile sauce that helped stretch ingredients during the Great Depression. Made from tomatoes, flour, and fat, like bacon grease or lard, it was served over biscuits, rice, or potatoes to add flavor and make meals more filling. This dish was particularly popular in the South, where tomatoes were readily available. Tomato gravy was a creative way to use up overripe tomatoes and make the most of pantry staples, turning them into a rich, savory sauce. It's a reminder of how even the simplest ingredients can be transformed into something delicious. Thanks for joining us on this journey through Great Depression-era cooking. We hope you've gained a new appreciation for these creative, resilient recipes. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.